we've seen so much just in the last 12 hours news of COVID-19 and the coronavirus in Washington, D.C. with the president and the first lady. We've seen 200,000 people die because of COVID-19. What should Congress be doing today to help stop this spread and let it get any worse than what it hasn't done thus far?
Well, I think the first thing is, and I want to make mention, that it saddens me when any American contracts this terrible virus, and most of all, when people don't survive. And one death is too many. We need to make sure that people have the tools, and some of that's happened already. Early on, the president took preventive and decisive action by stopping travel from China and other parts of the world. So we did that. We made sure that people, are having PPE. And, we need to continue to make sure those things are available. Testing, I mean, there's been a lot of testing that's been put out there, but also the awareness, because I believe in the American people. We've had people go to work in our grocery stores, in some of the larger box stores, Walmart and so on, and our essential businesses across PA12, across our Commonwealth, across our nation. And when people are very, very careful, they care about themselves, they care about their neighbors, they care about their family, their friends. We all need to be healthy. And everybody realizes that. And if we get the information out and make sure people have the tools to do the job properly, I have the confidence in the people of PA12 and the people of America that we can do it safely. But we need to start being able to reopen our economy so people can get back to doing what they do best. And I hear a lot of people telling me we want to get back to work.
Do you think people are taking it seriously enough?
Again, I can't speak for everybody, but I'll speak for our team, and I'll speak for the people that I encounter. Yes. The virus is real. Well, we need to make sure that we protect Americans, but we also need to make sure we have the resources to be able to do that in the future. And that means a sustainable economy that's safe and for everybody to work and go to school.
And just building off what you mentioned with the economy right now goes hand in hand with COVID-19. How do you get that economy back up and running to where it was pre-pandemic levels while still keeping in mind that we are living in a pandemic world?
Well, I think one thing that will be very helpful is the fact that the awareness of everybody and the diligence. That's one thing. Another part of it is the therapeutics that are available to treat the virus. We know a lot more about this virus now than we did when it first came to our country. Okay, so understanding that, being able to make sure we work together, not just one person in government, like in Pennsylvania, the governor needs to work more with other elected officials across the Commonwealth, state reps, state senators, county commissioners, in making sure we do things right, because nothing is a one size fits all. I mean, things are going to be different in Perry County and Juniata County and Mifflin County than they are going to be in Philadelphia County. And we need to recognize that. We need to recognize how we do that. But that isn't done by a one size fits all thing coming out of either Washington or Harrisburg. That's a collaboration of elected officials and people in the communities.
So I know you said that there's not a one size fits all, which means I'm actually going to ask you about a one size fits all here. Because of how vast the 12th is there one particular item that you think is most important to the people that live in the 12th?
One thing is we all want safe communities. We all want to be able to raise our families. We want our kids to have it better than we did. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things we have in common. Okay, and those are the things we have in common. Now there are certain things that are unique to certain parts of the district. Natural gas and energy development is certainly more prevalent up in the northern tier than it is in the southern parts. But agriculture is one thing that is across the entire district. That's the biggest industry in PA12 and in our state. So looking at that, paying attention to those things, because that's good jobs. That's what we do in Pennsylvania. It not just feeds the people of the Commonwealth, it feeds the people of our nation. So agriculture and paying attention to what's happening with agriculture, our veterans. Another thing that is important that we take care of is the people that fought and defended our freedom and our way of life. So that's some of the priorities and some of the things that I think people care most about: our veterans, our public safety, and making sure jobs are here for generations to come.
Do you need more from the federal government in terms of agriculture in the area?
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to make sure that we put policies in place that allow not just our farmers, but I'll talk about our farmers, to compete globally. And I think the president's done that through some of the trade negotiations we've seen happen over the last 3.5 years. And when you look at the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, you look at the trade agreement with China and some of the other things that are happening, certainly we need to do everything we can to help out not just agriculture, but our manufacturing jobs too.
If there's one thing that has been constant over the last decade, it's that there's something about the Affordable Care Act that is always up for discussion. What needs to change, if anything, with the ACA?
Well, the first thing I want to say is we need to make sure we always protect people with pre-existing conditions. That is first on the top of the list. We need to make sure that people that have pre-existing conditions have the ability to be covered and nothing changes. We protect that. The other things that we need to look at in any healthcare system is we need to make sure that there is competition and transparency. And we do things with health savings accounts, flexible spending accounts, buying insurance across state lines, all the things we can do to create that competition, that quality. A single payer system does not work. And I use an example of this over in the UK. There's a toddler and an infant, Charlie Gordon Alfie Evans, that when they were having difficulties with their parents, the doctors told their parents, "Oh, your child's not going to survive. You can't do this." One of the children could have gone to Italy, and one could have come to the United States and gotten care. But because the doctors fell away, and they have their healthcare system, they had a government bureaucrat tell them they had to disconnect their child from life support. My son, when he was 3 years old, had a head injury. The doctors told us he's not going to live. He was on a vent for 26 days. And multiple times they were saying, you need to disconnect life support, you need to disconnect life support. Because we have the healthcare system we have in America where the parents can make the decision and not a government bureaucrat. My son is alive today, 29 years old, and works at the hospital that saved his life. So a single payer system is not something I think you want to go to, because you're gonna have a government bureaucrat making decisions for your family member.
One of the things, if there's anything that has been the biggest story, I guess nationwide over the course of the last 6 months, if it's not COVID-19, it's calls for social justice. We've seen protesting, the protesting of police killings of Black men and women, and I'm wondering, what do the protests, the calls for social justice mean to you, and what changes are needed, if any, in your mind for criminal justice reform?
Well, first I want to say that everybody needs to be treated with dignity and respect. We need to talk about what brings us together and unites us as Americans. And everybody, the diversity of opinions and backgrounds is excellent. It's what makes us strong. But recognizing that we have respect for one another and we have respect for law and order. When a peaceful protest and people hijack that, and that's what's happening. There's people that want good things to happen. They're peaceably assembling, and then people are hijacking that and turning into something violent. And that voice of the good work that needs to happen is being drowned out. And that's the thing we need to stop from happening, is people that are trying to silence that voice or take advantage of a situation for their own gain. That needs to stop. We need to respect law enforcement. Most law enforcement individuals are outstanding people. They want to do things right. That's PA-12. I've been around to Mansfield and Williamsport and Sunbury holding roundtables with law enforcement. They want it done right. Senator Scott had a bill that really would have addressed things. Offered the Democrats, put amendments on it. The Senate wouldn't even bring it up. The Speaker of the House didn't even, there was a bill passed out there with no input from the other side. And we need to really start working together on solutions that aren't one party or the other, but that are solutions that are beneficial for America. And we need to make sure the law enforcement have the tools and the training that they want and that they need to make sure that they can be successful.
I want to have a little bit of fun. So we're going to try to keep this to as close to 30 seconds as possible, which may be difficult considering what the fifth of 5 questions is going to be. You'll understand in a second, but try to answer these rapid fire questions as quickly as possible.
Okay.
You ready? Okay. Best spot to eat in the 12th?
Any restaurant that there, I love to eat. So county fairs.
Okay. Good answer. Best concert you've been to?
Best concert I've been to. I haven't been to many lately. I was to actually some performances at Lewisburg High School a couple of years ago. The high school kids did an outstanding job.
Fastest you've gone on I-80? Be honest.
Fastest I've gone on I-80, the speed limit is what, 70 miles an hour or so. So I go a couple miles over, maybe 80 or 85. I don't know.
Okay, I appreciate your honesty. What was the last Halloween costume you remember wearing?
Last Halloween costume I remember, it was actually, oh man, I think it was a political one with a Richard Nixon mask.
All right, last question. Try to do this as fast as possible. There are 15 counties in the 12th congressional district. Name them all. Go.
Susquehanna, Bradford, Tioga, Potter, Wyoming, Lycoming, Sullivan, Clinton, Northumberland, Union, Center, Mifflin, Juniata, Snyder, and Perry.
All right.
I know the district because you know what? They're outstanding people in every county.
I would be disappointed if you didn't know all the counties in your district. It was a setup question.
Maybe you ought to start asking people about the Constitution. We can start talking about that. All right.
Last question for you, and I want to end on this. Are you confident with the safety and the security of the election?
I think there's some concerns, and the concerns I have with this is the fact that the governor and the Supreme Court, controlled by Democrats, are trying to change rules several weeks before an election. That concerns me. We have been voting by mail in absentee form for a very long period of time, where somebody requests a ballot and it's sent to them perfectly fine. Mailing ballots out just without a request, I think there would be problems. And I can point to universities where somebody might have voted 2 years ago as a junior. They've graduated, they've moved on to where their job takes them. What's going to happen if we just mail out ballots to that place? What happens to that ballot? Where's the chain of custody for it? So, and the fact that we saw ballots in a trash can in Luzerne County should be concerning to people. We need to keep our eyes on it. We need to make, as Pennsylvanians, as Americans, we need to make sure that every vote that an American qualified elector puts out there is counted. I'm all for that, but we need to make sure that it's secure.
Quick follow-up to that, because we've spoken to a lot of election directors, and in this section of Pennsylvania, they are all, the election directors are of Republican-controlled county commissioner seats. And they all say that they are confident, even though all the extra work that's on their plate, they are confident that their elections in their counties are going to be safe. And what is your response to that?
My response to that would be I would agree with that in places of like PA 12, where we haven't had a record of things going on. But we all know, you can go down to Florida, in Miami-Dade County, where you've had problems in the past. You can go to places in Philadelphia and bigger cities where there are actually cases where there has been some voter fraud. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody does it, but there's cases there. And if there's cases there, you need to make sure you're on top of it and doing the right things. I don't think there's a problem in PA 12, quite frankly, because we have a history of not having those issues. So if there was anything that would lead me to believe we have a problem in PA 12. My point is, where you have had cases where it has been proven that you've had this in the past, you really need to be on top of it and make sure things are happening properly.